Before the narrative, before the plot, before the characters and their stories and interactions, before what drives people, before danger, before hope. Before the before, there was darkness. Many believe it to have been stagnant, but it's quite the opposite. A shifting, writhing darkness that pulses and lurches with growing intensity. Desperate to escape the confines of this existing prison, but never quite able to puncture the story enough to push through into it. Never quite. See, from the world's perspective, things happen very linearly. Something in the future can't happen before something in the past. That's the law of time. Time travel is possible, of course, but only forwards, never in reverse. But here, in the absence of nothing, in the darkness, we aren't in the story. We aren't in Nirvana. We aren't even before the universe was created. We're in concept. And outside of the story, things don't happen as linearly as they seem from an insider perspective. Events happen before others, wiping them from the canon entirely. Things are done and then retconned, glossing over the world as a whole. Entire portions of the narrative not touched until convenient, and then it was always like that. But it wasn't always like that. Not to an outsider. Not to the darkness. Not in concept. And here in concept, there is no time. There's a line that has notches in it where important things occur, a marker for convenience, to keep the world in balance. But it's really a formality. Things are subject to change. What happens when the lines end? What happened before they started? In the story, 6078 just occurred. Some creature named Vecna attempting to ascend to some godlike power. Failed ultimately, but not without consequence. Not without backups. Not without ripping a hole in space-time. The hole existed for merely a few moments, an inconceivable blip in the endlessness that is infinity. But similarly to how when a can is shaken, bulging at the sides, the tiniest pinprick is all that is needed for a single bubble to squeeze through. That bubble, that thing beyond canon, now resides within the story. It doesn't see time, nor space, nor linearity, because it isn't designed to. Non-sentient. Not evil or good, just a bubble. Floating throughout the story. Placing tidbits to its existence over time, but never enough to be fully noticed. An egg that weighs 1,000,000 tons. A couple keys, a sextant, but never a creature. Not sentient enough for that. No, not at all. Apes evolved into humans, and sea life into crustaceans, all taking hundreds of millions of years. But time is not real. It's fabricated. The bubble exists outside that, unable to grasp something so minute, so foreign. So it made its own. It wanted to be bigger, so it grew. It wanted to be smarter, so it learned. It wanted to see, and it saw. It saw everything. The start, the end, the prophecies, the diner, and the potential. Those tears between the planes happen in the future, but are also now and always have been, constantly in flux of being opened and closed. The bubble grew to a cloud, to a collection of clouds, to lightning, to thunder, to rain, to darkness, to a storm. An endless, festering storm capable of thought and desire. It wanted to sense, and it sensed. It wanted to feel, and it felt. It wanted to be whole. So it hungers. And it hungers. Beyond the storm, time restored, there is the material, where inconsequential lives lie untouched by its endless swarming hunger. There's an instability, but even the most powerful of mages cannot sense it. Natural portals to the planes exist. Dig too deep, you may find yourself in the Underdark. Walk into a beautiful weld, and you may find yourself in the Feywilds. Die, and you may find yourself in an afterlife. A detectable phenomenon, but the nature of them deceiving. Those planar holes still exist, and with the presence of the storm, now swell and tear every bit more with each passing moment. Until we focus on something that also has not happened yet. Something that happens even further from the storm's zenith, and from the start of this story. A holy knight obsessed with revenge, tinkering with the machine he could never hope to understand. The son of a late doctor, a scientist, and a boyfriend to a lovely Firbolg. Tinkering with this machine until it sent him spiraling through the plains for 3 years, until the machine disappeared entirely. And it landed someplace new. Somewhen new. As it sits there, we see a body take a step over it, silhouetted by the fading winter's light. A scarf, a thick jacket, a half-smoked clove in his hand, and a raccoon's mask.